There is a problem hiding inside most flower gardens, and it does not show up in spring. It shows up in August. The garden that looked magnificent in May, full of color, full of promise, starts to go quiet. The peonies finished weeks ago. The irises are just foliage now. The spring bulbs have completely disappeared. And what is left is a collection of green plants patiently waiting for the season to end, with nothing left to show. Most gardeners experience this every single year and assume it is just how gardens work. That the price of beautiful spring flowers is an empty garden by midsummer. That there is a natural peak, usually late spring to early summer, and then a slow decline into October. That assumption is wrong. And it is costing you months of color every single season. Today we are covering 15 perennials, plants that come back every year, that bloom from spring all the way to the first frost. Not 2 weeks, not one flush in June and another in September. Continuous, documented, verified bloom from late spring through October and beyond. These are not rare plants. Most of them are available at any decent garden center. But for reasons I am going to explain, almost nobody talks about them the way they deserve to be talked about. Stay until plant 15. I saved the most surprising one for last, and it is the one that completely rewrites how most people think about long season color. Let me be specific about the problem because it has a name. Gardeners call it the midsummer gap, the period from late July through September when the first wave of spring and early summer perennials has finished and the autumn plants have not yet started. It is the most frustrating period in the gardening calendar, and it is almost entirely caused by one mistake made at the garden center in spring. The mistake is buying plants based on how they look right now. In early May, the garden center is a spectacular place. Everything is in bloom. The shelves are overflowing with color. And gardeners make all their planting decisions based on what looks beautiful in that specific moment, which means they go home with a collection of plants that all peak at the same time. Spring. 3 months later, those same plants are done, and the garden is green. The second version of this problem is the one-week wonder. Many of the most popular perennials, classic peonies, bearded iris, oriental poppies, produce flowers of extraordinary beauty, but for an extremely short window. We are talking 7 to 10 days of peak bloom in some cases. They are worth growing. But if your entire garden is built around them, you have designed a garden that peaks for 1 week in May and sustains on foliage for the next 5 months. The solution is not complicated. It does not require redesigning your entire garden. It requires adding plants that bloom for months, not weeks, plants that fill the calendar from late spring through frost, plants that do not get purchased in May because they have not started blooming yet, so they sit at the back of the garden center looking unremarkable while everyone crowds around the things already flowering. Those are the 15 plants in this video. The way most of us were taught to think about garden color is based on a peak model. You choose plants for their peak beauty, the most spectacular moment, and you accept the rest of the season as supporting cast. What the plants in this video ask you to consider instead is a continuous model. Not the most spectacular single moment, but the most reliable season-long presence. A plant that produces steady, consistent color from late May through October is doing something fundamentally different from a plant that dazzles for 10 days in June. It is not always the loudest plant in the garden, but it is always there. The continuous model does not mean settling for less. Several of the plants in this video are genuinely spectacular, but their quality is not a single burst, it is an endurance. They are still blooming when everything else has long since finished. And that staying power is worth far more than one magnificent week. Every plant in this video has been fact-checked against documented horticultural sources including the Missouri Botanical Gardens Plant Finder Database, the Old Farmer's Almanac, the Perennial Plant Association, Proven Winners, the Royal Horticultural Society Award of Garden Merit Records, MT Cuba Center Trial Reports, NC State Extension, Garden Design Magazine, Gardening Know-How, Purdue University Extension, and multiple university extension programs, where I give USDA hardiness zones. Those are from the USDA Plant Hardiness Zone Map and corroborating horticultural databases. Where I make bloom time claims, those are supported by at least 2 independent verified sources. Nothing in this video is marketing language. We are covering 15 plants. Every one of them is verified to bloom from late spring to frost. But plant 9 on this list is the one that surprises experienced gardeners most, because it won the Perennial Plant of the Year in 2011, and yet most American gardeners have never grown it or even heard of its name. And plant 15 is the one I saved for last because it solves the specific problem I described in a way no other plant on this list can. Stay with me. If you are not subscribed yet, hit subscribe and the bell right now. Every week, real plant data, real bloom time verification, no products being pushed. Plant 1. Coreopsis Moonbeam. Coreopsis verticillata Moonbeam. Named the 1992 Perennial Plant of the Year by the Perennial Plant Association. Over 30 years later, still one of the most reliably long-blooming perennials available. Coreopsis Moonbeam is documented as hardy in USDA Zones 4 through 9 by the Old Farmer's Almanac, Longfield Gardens, and the Missouri Botanical Gardens Plant Finder database. Nature Hills Nursery and Classy Ground Covers independently confirm it blooms from late spring into fall, with Classy Ground Covers specifically noting it forms blooms in succession throughout summer up to the arrival of frost in mid to late autumn without deadheading. The flower is a small, pale creamy yellow daisy, softer than the typical bright yellow of other Coreopsis. The foliage is fine and feathery, almost fern-like, creating excellent textural contrast against plants with larger, bolder leaves. It grows 12 to 18 inches tall and spreads slowly by rhizomes into a soft, billowing mound. The bloom mechanism that makes Moonbeam exceptional is documented by the Missouri Botanical Garden, shearing the plant back by 1/3 to 1/2 in midsummer after the first flush triggers fresh growth and a heavy second flush that carries through to frost. Without shearing, it continues to flower moderately. With one midsummer trim, the late-season display is often heavier than the spring flush. According to ADR Bulbs, Moonbeam is drought-tolerant once established, requires no fertilizer and average to poor soil, over-fertilizing reduces flowering, and is documented as deer-resistant and largely pest-free. Drop a comment. Have you grown Coreopsis Moonbeam? Tell me how long your bloom season runs. Plant 2. Salvia nemorosa, May Night. Salvia nemorosa May Night. One of the most documented long-blooming perennials in the temperate garden, and one of the most underused. Salvia nemorosa May Night is documented as hardy in USDA Zones 4 through 9 by proven winners and multiple horticultural sources. According to botanical interests, salvias offer some of the longest bloom periods among perennials, with many varieties flowering from May through November in the right climates. Epic Gardening confirms varieties like May Night and Amistad are particularly outstanding for extended flowering periods. The behavior that makes May Night a true long-season bloomer is its response to cutting back. According to Preen.com's horticultural guide, it blooms with deep violet-purple spikes in May and June, then blooms again in late summer after spent stems are cut back to approximately 6 inches. This produces 2 major flushes with continuous minor flowering in between, extending the season from late spring all the way to frost. Salvia nemorosa is drought-tolerant once established, requires full sun and well-drained soil, and is documented as strongly deer-resistant due to its aromatic foliage. It grows 18 to 24 inches tall in standard varieties. Hummingbirds, bees, and butterflies visit salvia heavily throughout the season. Plant 3. Blanket Flower Gaillardia X grandiflora. The plant that looks like a sunset from June to October and does not ask for water, fertilizer, or rich soil to produce it. Gaillardia X grandiflora is documented as hardy in USDA Zones 3 through 10 by the Old Farmer's Almanac and Garden Design magazine. According to Garden Design, its flowers bloom over an exceptionally long time from late spring to fall in shades of orange, yellow, red, apricot, and bronze. Native Flora Seeds confirms continuous flowering from late spring through the first frost. Blanket Flower is native to the open prairies and plains of North America, which is why it thrives in thin, dry, low-fertility soils. According to the Wisconsin Horticulture Extension, Gaillardia actually performs better in poorer soils. Excessive fertility encourages foliage growth at the expense of flowers. It is one of the few garden perennials that blooms more when you neglect it. One honest note that matters. The Wisconsin Horticulture Extension and Garden Design both document Gaillardia as a short-lived perennial, with the average lifespan of Gaillardia x grandiflora typically 2 to 3 years. It self-seeds readily, helping established colonies maintain themselves. Dividing plants every 2 to 3 years in spring or fall and replanting the divisions refreshes individual plants and extends their garden presence indefinitely. Plant 4. Catmint, Cat's Meow. Nepeta fossini Cat's Meow. The plant that produces lavender-blue flowers for months, deters pests with its aromatic foliage, and asks for nothing except full sun and decent drainage. Catmint nepeta is documented as hardy in USDA zones 3 through 8 by Gardening Know-How, with some varieties extending to zone 9. Creekside Gardens documents nepeta blooming from late spring until mid-autumn with a heavy show of purple-blue flower spikes that are extremely attractive to pollinators. Preen.com identifies Cat's Meow, Cat's Pajamas, and Junior Walker as among the best compact varieties at 15 to 18 inches tall for the front of borders. The key management technique that extends catmint season is documented by Creekside Gardens. After the first major flush fades in early summer, shear the entire plant back by about 1/2. This triggers a fresh flush of foliage and flowers that persists until frost. Without shearing, catmint continues to flower moderately. With a single midsummer shearing, the autumn display is often as impressive as the spring flush. Catmint is drought-tolerant, heat-tolerant, and its aromatic foliage is deer-resistant. Bees and butterflies visit it heavily throughout the season. The gray-green mounding foliage looks attractive even between bloom flushes. Plant 5. Gaillardia Arizona Coreopsis Zagreb. Coreopsis verticillata Zagreb, a different cultivar from Moonbeam that deserves its own entry. A brighter, more saturated golden yellow in a similarly compact form. Coreopsis verticillata Zagreb is documented as hardy in USDA zones 4 through 9 by the Old Farmer's Almanac. Where Moonbeam offers pale creamy yellow, Zagreb produces bright golden yellow flowers on equally fine, ferny foliage. According to Preen.com's horticultural guide, Zagreb and the related golden gain can bloom for nearly 4 months, one of the longest documented continuous bloom periods of any named Coreopsis cultivar. At 12 to 18 inches tall, Zagreb is suited to the front of a sunny border, rock gardens, and mass plantings where season-long color with 0 inputs is the goal. Like Moonbeam, it is drought-tolerant once established, requires no fertilizer in average soil, is deer-resistant, and benefits from a midsummer shearing to promote a heavier second flush. Pairing Moonbeam's soft butter yellow with Zagreb's brighter gold creates a textured, continuously flowering combination that shares the same growing conditions and delivers visual depth with no additional maintenance. Plant 6. Hardy Geranium Rozanne. Geranium Rozanne, the 2008 Perennial Plant of the Year, recipient of the Royal Horticultural Society Award of Garden Merit. Named Plant of the Centenary at the RHS Chelsea Flower Show in 2013. And still one of the most underused long-season perennials in American home gardens. Geranium Rozanne, a true perennial cranesbill, not the annual pelargonium sold in hanging baskets as a geranium, is documented as hardy in USDA zones 5 through 8 by Gardenia.net, North Creek Nurseries, and multiple horticultural databases. North Creek Nurseries confirms its bloom time as late spring through November or until frost. Walters Gardens explains the biological reason it blooms so continuously. Rozanne's flowers are sterile, the plant cannot set seed, so it redirects all its energy into continuous flower production instead of seed development. The flowers are large for a cranesbill, approximately 2.5 inches across according to North Creek Nurseries, in rich violet blue with a bright white center and purple veining. The plant grows 18 to 20 inches tall and spreads 24 to 36 inches wide at maturity according to Gardenia.net. One documented behavior worth noting. According to Johnson's Nursery, Rozanne may reduce or pause flowering during extreme summer heat or moisture stress. The plant resumes blooming once conditions improve. This is the plant conserving energy, not failing. It requires no deadheading. Deer-resistant. Tolerates full sun to partial shade. Plant 7. Gaillardia Arizona Sun. Gaillardia X grandiflora, Arizona Sun. A specific blanket flower cultivar worth covering separately because it was bred specifically for compactness, earlier bloom initiation, and container suitability compared to standard hybrid forms. According to Garden Design, Arizona Sun grows 8 to 10 inches tall, significantly more compact than most standard Gaillardia, making it ideal for the front of beds, containers, and border edges. Its deep red flowers with yellow tips are among the most vivid in the genus. The Old Farmer's Almanac confirms Gaillardia blooms in early summer and keeps flowering profusely all summer with regular deadheading continuing through October. The compact form makes Arizona Sun proportional for container planting on patios, entryways, and balconies in a way that taller Gaillardia varieties are not. Full sun and excellent drainage remain non-negotiable. In the right conditions, lean, dry, well-drained soil in full sun, Arizona Sun is one of the most reliable color sources available from June through the first frost. We are halfway through. Stay with me. Plant 9 is the 2011 perennial plant of the year that most American gardeners have never grown. And plants 12 through 15 cover parts of the season and parts of the garden that most long-blooming perennial lists completely miss. Do not click away. Plant 8. Scabiosa Butterfly Blue. Scabiosa columbaria Butterfly Blue, named the 2000 Perennial Plant of the Year by the Perennial Plant Association, and despite that recognition, still one of the least known long-blooming perennials in American home gardens. Scabiosa Butterfly Blue, pincushion flower, is documented as hardy in USDA zones 3 through 9 by the Old Farmer's Almanac and multiple horticultural sources. According to the Perennial Plant Association, its lavender-blue pincushion flowers appear from late spring and continue almost non-stop to hard frost, making it one of the most genuinely continuous bloomers available. The flowers are produced on long, slender stems held above a low mound of gray-green foliage, growing 12 to 18 inches tall. According to multiple nursery sources including proven winners, Butterfly Blue is one of those rare perennials that deadheads itself almost continuously. The more flowers you remove, or the more the plant naturally drops, the faster new buds form. In practice, this means it requires almost no management to maintain continuous bloom. Butterflies are attracted to the flowers in numbers significant enough that the cultivar name references this behavior directly. Scabiosa tolerates poor to average soil, is drought-tolerant once established, and is documented as deer-resistant. It thrives in full sun to light shade. Dividing every 2 to 3 years in spring maintains vigor and bloom production. This is a plant that wins a Perennial Plant of the Year award and then quietly disappears from most gardening conversations. That ends today. Plant 9. Arkansas Bluestar Amsonia Hubrichtii, the 2011 Perennial Plant of the Year. Evaluated in formal trials by both the Chicago Botanic Garden and MT Cuba Center, and almost completely unknown to the majority of American home gardeners. Amsonia Hubrichtii is documented as hardy in USDA zones 5 through 9 by the Missouri Botanical Garden. It provides 3 distinct phases of ornamental interest from a single planting. In spring, it produces light blue star-shaped flowers in clusters above fine, thread-like foliage, delivering soft powder blue color in a tone that is genuinely difficult to find in spring-blooming perennials. The Chicago Botanic Garden, which maintains ongoing Amsonia evaluation trials and has documented more than 3,500 individual plants, identifies the genus as providing outstanding yellow to gold fall color in addition to spring bloom interest. MT Cuba Center, which conducted a 10-year formal Amsonia trial at its research garden near Wilmington, Delaware, evaluated 20 different Amsonia over that period and documented them as virtually pest and disease-free, requiring only a cutback and cleanup in late winter as yearly maintenance. The trial confirms that blue stars take a few years to establish before showing their full potential. So patience in the first season is rewarded with years of exceptional performance. The autumn color of Amsonia Hubrichtii specifically, a brilliant glowing golden yellow that the Chicago Botanic Garden describes as almost a golden cloud, is documented as one of the most spectacular perennial autumn displays available. This is a plant that provides spring bloom, summer foliage texture, and extraordinary autumn color from the same spot in your garden, year after year, with almost no maintenance. Comment below. Had you heard of Amsonia before this video? Plant 10. Salvia Caradonna. Salvia nemorosa caradonna. A different salvia from May Night that deserves its own entry because of one specific visual quality that changes how it functions in the garden. While May Night produces soft violet-purple spikes, Caradonna produces deep violet-purple flowers on near-black stems. A color combination that is striking in a way most garden perennials cannot match. According to Creekside Gardens, Caradonna is hardy in USDA zones 4 through 9 and blooms from spring through summer with a documented extended season that, with cutting back after the first flush, continues through to autumn. The dark stems against the violet flowers create a visual intensity that makes Caradonna one of the most photographed perennial salvias available. It grows 18 to 24 inches tall, is drought-tolerant once established, requires no fertilizer in average soil, is strongly deer-resistant, and is documented as highly attractive to bees and butterflies. The combination of Caradonna with white or pale yellow flowers, white echinacea, cream coreopsis, or silver artemisia, is one of the most effective high-contrast pairings in the long-season border for visual impact from late spring through frost. Plant 11. Catmint Walker's Low. Nepeta ex Fossini Walker's Low. Named the 2007 Perennial Plant of the Year by the Perennial Plant Association. Also recipient of the Royal Horticultural Society Award of Garden Merit in 2012. And named after a garden in Ireland, not after its size, which is an important clarification. According to the Perennial Plant Association and Purdue University Extension, Walker's Low reaches up to 36 inches tall with a spread of 30 to 36 inches, making it one of the largest cultivated catmint varieties available, and a substantial mid-border plant rather than an edging plant. It is hardy in USDA zones 3 through 8 according to the Perennial Plant Association and NC State Extension. The Perennial Plant Association documents Walker's Low as blooming almost continuously throughout the season from May until frost when pruned back by 2/3 after the initial flowers fade. The plant is a sterile hybrid that cannot set seed, exactly like Geranium Rozanne, meaning it continuously redirects energy into flower production rather than seed development, which is the biological mechanism behind its exceptional bloom duration. At its documented scale of 36 inches tall and wide, Walker's Low creates a substantial cloud of violet-blue color from late spring through frost, planting it alongside deep gold Rudbeckia goldsturm. The gold of the Rudbeckia against the violet blue of the catmint is one of the most reliably effective long-season border pairings documented in garden design literature. Plant 12. Coral Bells. Hubrichtii, berry timeless and related cultivars. Most people grow Hubrichtii coral bells entirely for the foliage. And that foliage is genuinely spectacular, coming in lime green, deep burgundy, caramel, silver, and near black. But the right cultivars also produce flower spikes from late spring through summer and into fall, which means this plant earns its place in two ways simultaneously. Hubrichtii is documented as hardy in USDA zones 4 through 9 by most major horticultural sources, with some varieties rated as low as zone 3. Gardening know-how specifically identifies the longest flowering varieties as berry timeless, coral forest, firefly, Paris, peppermint spice, red lighting, ruby bells, and southern comfort, confirming these cultivars produce flowers from late spring until the first frost. Unlike most plants on this list that require full sun, Hubrichtii thrives in partial to full shade, making it one of the only long-blooming perennials available for shaded garden sections. The flower spikes are slender and held 12 to 18 inches above the foliage, producing small bell-shaped flowers in pink, red, white, or coral that hummingbirds visit regularly. Plant the right cultivar in the right shaded spot and you have spectacular foliage in every season, flower spikes from May to frost, and hummingbird visits throughout summer, from a spot in your garden that most long-season bloomers cannot reach. If this kind of content is what you want every week, subscribe right now. Hit the bell. 3 more plants, and the last one is the one I have been building toward. Plant 13. Agastache Blue Fortune. Agastache Blue Fortune, winner of the Royal Horticultural Society Award of Garden Merit. winner of the 2004 Great Plant Picks Award. And according to White Flower Farm, a mass of soft powder blue flower spikes from July to frost, making it a magnet for butterflies, bees, and hummingbirds from midsummer through the end of the season. Agastache Blue Fortune is documented as hardy in USDA zones 4 through 9 by Great Garden Plants and multiple verified sources. According to NC State Extension, its blooms are showy and fragrant spikes of lavender-blue flowers appearing from summer through fall, covered in pollinators all day. Gardenia.net confirms bloom time as midsummer to early fall with deadheading promoting additional bloom. The foliage is strongly anise-scented, which makes it deer-resistant, and also edible leaves and flowers can be used in teas, salads, and as a culinary herb. One plant delivers ornamental flowers, pollinator habitat, and a culinary ingredient simultaneously. Blue Fortune grows 24 to 36 inches tall, requires full sun and excellent drainage, and is drought-tolerant once established. According to Walter's Gardens, it was bred and selected by Gert Fortkins of the Arboretum Trompenberg in Rotterdam, Netherlands, which is why it has stronger recognition in European garden circles than in American ones despite performing exceptionally here. That gap between its actual performance and its American recognition is the definition of underrated. Plant 14. Pincushion flower, pink mist, Scabiosa columbaria, pink mist, a companion to butterfly blue that extends the color range of the long-season Scabiosa family and fills a specific visual gap, soft pink, that few truly long-blooming perennials occupy. Scabiosa columbaria, pink mist, is documented as hardy in USDA zones 3 through 9 by multiple horticultural sources and shares the same exceptional bloom duration as butterfly blue, late spring to hard frost, with soft mauve-pink pincushion flowers rather than lavender-blue ones. According to the Old Farmer's Almanac, pincushion flowers bloom from late spring to fall, and deadheading encourages continuous production of new buds. Pink mist grows 12 to 18 inches tall in full sun to light partial shade, tolerates average to poor well-drained soil, and is documented as drought-tolerant once established. Its flowers are particularly attractive to butterflies and beneficial insects throughout the long bloom season. Planting butterfly blue and pink mist together creates a soft, continuously flowering combination in complementary tones that occupies the same cultural conditions and delivers months of color without requiring different soil, water, or maintenance regimes. Plant 15. Stella de Oro Daylily, Hemerocallis Stella de Oro. I want to address something before describing this plant. Some of you already know Stella de Oro. You may have grown it for years, and your response to seeing it at number 15 on a list of plants nobody talks about might be, but everyone knows this one. You are right that it is well known. But here is what almost nobody talks about. Most gardeners do not understand why it blooms longer than every other daylily they have ever grown, and most gardeners do not know the one management technique that doubles its already exceptional bloom season. Most daylilies, including the orange roadside daylily, the classic tawny Hemerocallis fulva, bloom for 3 to 5 weeks. Each individual flower lasts 1 day. The entire scape of buds is spent within a few weeks, and then that plant is done for the season. Hemerocallis Stella de Oro does not work this way. According to Creekside Gardens, it is a true reblooming daylily, meaning after the first set of scapes finishes, the plant produces new scapes and blooms again and again. Creekside Gardens specifically notes it is a multiple American Hemerocallis Society Award winner that has become perhaps the most popular daylily in cultivation in large part because of its compact size, vigorous growth, profuse bloom, and extremely long bloom period. It is hardy in USDA zones 3 through 9 according to the American Hemerocallis Society. It grows 12 inches tall, compact enough for the front of any border. Its flowers are 2.75-inch diameter gold yellow with ruffled edges and deeper yellow throats. The management technique that most people miss. Deadhead the spent scapes, the flower stems, down to the base as soon as each one finishes. Do not leave them on the plant. Removing them signals the plant to redirect energy into producing new scapes rather than setting seed. According to the University of Minnesota Extension, removing spent blooms prevents seed production and directs plant energy back into flowering. Applied consistently throughout summer, This technique significantly extends Stella de Oro's documented bloom period. One important safety note confirmed across multiple sources. All daylilies, including Stella de Oro, are toxic to cats. They are safe for humans and dogs, but if cats access your garden, plant placement matters. Comment below. Did you know Stella de Oro is a true rebloomer? And did you know most daylilies are not? Drop your answer. Let me bring all 15 together. Coreopsis Moonbeam. Zones 4 to 9. Pale creamy yellow from late spring to frost. 1992 Perennial Plant of the Year. 1 Midsummer shearing for maximum late season bloom. Salvia May Night. Zones 4 to 9. Deep violet purple vertical spikes from late spring to frost with 1 cutback. Drought tolerant. Strongly deer resistant. Blanket Flower Gaillardia. Zones 3 to 10. Fiery red-orange yellow from late spring to frost. Thrives in poor dry soil. Blooms more when neglected. Catmint cat's Meow. Zones 3 to 8. Lavender-blue from late spring to mid-autumn. Aromatic and deer-resistant. 1 midsummer shearing required. Coreopsis Zagreb. Zones 4 to 9. Bright golden yellow with documented 4-month bloom period. Drought tolerant and deer resistant. Hardy Geranium Rozanne. Zones 5 to 8. Violet blue with white centers from late spring to frost. Sterile flowers mean no deadheading ever needed. 2008 Perennial Plant of the Year and RHS Plant of the Centenary. Gaillardia Arizona Sun. Zones 3 to 10. Compact 8 to 10 inches for borders and containers. Bold red with yellow tips from early summer to frost. Scabiosa Butterfly Blue. Zones 3 to 9. Lavender-blue pincushion flowers from late spring to hard frost. 2000 Perennial Plant of the Year. Nearly self-deadheading. Arkansas Bluestar Amsonia Hubrichtii. Zones 5 to 9. Spring blue flowers. Fine summer foliage. Spectacular golden autumn color. 2011 Perennial Plant of the Year. Documented by both the Chicago Botanic Garden and MT. Cuba Center's 10-year trial. Salvia Caradonna. Zones 4 to 9. Deep violet on near-black stems from spring to frost. One of the most visually striking long-season salvias. Catmint Walker's Low. Zones 3 to 8. Up to 36 inches tall. 2007 Perennial Plant of the Year and RHS Award of Garden Merit. Violet Blue Cloud from May to Frost. Coral Bells Berry Timeless and related cultivars. Zones 4 to 9. Spectacular foliage plus flower spikes from late spring to frost. The only long bloomer on this list that genuinely thrives in shade. Agastache Blue Fortune. Zones 4 to 9. Lavender blue from midsummer to early fall. RHS Award of Garden Merit. Edible aromatic foliage. Intensely attractive to bees, butterflies, and hummingbirds. Scabiosa Pink Mist. Zones 3 to 9. Soft mauve-pink pincushion flowers from late spring to frost. Pairs with butterfly blue. For a continuously flowering two-tone combination requiring identical care. Stella de Oro Daylily. Zones 3 to 9. True reblooming gold yellow daylily from late spring through frost when spent scapes are consistently deadhead. Multiple American Hemerocallis Society Award winner. Every claim in that summary is verified. Every zone range is documented. Every bloom time is supported by at least 2 independent horticultural sources. You do not need to replace your entire garden. Adding 3 or 4 of these plants into the spaces where your current perennials go quiet is enough to fundamentally change your garden from July through October. Start with the ones that match your sun conditions and hardiness zone. Give them 1 season to establish. And then watch what happens in August and September, the months when most gardens have already given up. If this video changed how you are going to plan your garden this season, hit the like button. It helps this reach other gardeners who are tired of watching their color disappear by July. Subscribe if you are not already. Every week I bring you exactly this kind of content, the documented plant science and verified growing data that no one is being paid to tell you. Drop a comment below. Which of these 15 are you adding first? Or which ones are already growing in your garden and living up to their reputation? I read every single one. Share this with someone who has been struggling with that empty summer garden. It might be exactly what they need before they start planning next season. And before you go, Next week, I am covering the companion planting combinations with the most documented scientific backing for extending bloom seasons and reducing pest pressure simultaneously. Not tradition. Not folklore. Published research. Stay subscribed.